I see dead people.
Hot shit.
Here's Johnny.
Stop.
We have such sights to show you.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus. Fuck you too.
Cause fuck, man.
Yeah?
Fuck, man. I'm so fucking hyped. I'm hyped. I don't think there's a way for this to disappoint either of us.
That's fair.
I think this is a ringer.
Mm-hmm. And we know that.
I feel like I know that, and
Sure.
I'm not gonna give it to you until I tell you the title.
Okay.
And I'm not necessarily sure if I want to roll into the title just yet.
That's fair.
I want to ramble for maybe like 10 minutes. Give me like 10 minutes to ramble. I'm here with WhereAmi.
Where am I?
And we're starting what I'm gonna call like the next summer series, because it's gonna take like 2 to 3 months to tell the entire thing. It's gonna be a weird kind of little adventure. The way I was describing it before I pressed the record button, I got WhereAmi on my couch, my cat is on his lap, we are locked in, and
We did all the lock-in activities.
we did all the lock-in activities, so we're gonna be here for the next two or so hours on what I assume is going to be a mind-bending journey. And so, naturally, we partake.
Yeah.
I recommend everyone else partake.
I say bend the mind, bend
This
the
is
mind.
exactly. The only other way I could have maybe done this series is on mushrooms, because this series is probably going to make me feel like I'm on mushrooms.
Are we foreshadowing the finale?
I don't know. I don't know if I can do
Is
it.
that what we're doing here?
I don't know if I could put myself through that again. I had a really bad trip last time.
That's fair.
And then I had like a middling trip after that where it didn't really feel like anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I feel like this story is going to go to a lot of different places, and it's going to show us a lot of different perspectives, and it's going to feel like it's disjointed at first. And then I think it starts to connect dots to other stars to form a constellation by the end of the road. And then the reason I describe it as a constellation and not like a journey walking down a linear path is because I think I'm going to be over here, you're going to be over here, then we're going to put another character over here, and another character over here, and another character over here. And then we read another part and it connects these two. And then we read another part and it connects these two. And then we read another part and then it all forms together and it forms one big fucked up picture.
Yeah.
It's like, that's my impression. That's what's been impressed upon me by the internet, is that there is a structure, and the structure is how it was written. So I'm going to pull up different logs on No Sleep that feel like snapshots of a period, time, place, person.
Okay.
And then it's gonna last like 7 to 10 pages, and then it's gonna go, it's gonna take another picture, and it's gonna take place in a completely different context, completely different setting, completely different character. And then slowly as the stories go on, we're gonna see how these characters either overlap, come into influence with one another, or get mass manipulated on completely separate scales.
Sure.
And the reason I say mass manipulation is because I will tell you the title of the series. The title of the series is Mother Horse Eyes.
Mother Horse Eyes.
Mother Horse Eyes.
Okay. So that's like, I'm assuming that's like the camera. It's like
It has been described to me, because I have not read the story, the internet and the only brief things I've read is it has been described to me as an old
Mother eyes or
mother
horse
horse eyes, like mother horse eyes, like a name.
Oh, okay.
Like a name.
Like I'm calling to you, and I see the thing, like mother, comma horse eyes.
So you know how in Lovecraft,
Sure.
when Lovecraft talks about, like, gods, he's not necessarily talking about gods. He's describing them as gods because of their, like, power
beings.
level.
Yeah.
But they are organic beings. They're just from a different dimension, and it's a dimension we don't understand. And because we don't understand it, they're perceived as, like, a higher power.
Yeah.
That's like they're perceived as gods. Mother Horse Eyes is apparently like that.
Sure.
Mother Horse Eyes is an entity beyond the veil that does things to people across time and space to influence their lives. And I don't know if it's manipulation. I don't know if it's a haunting presence. I don't know if it's a foreboding, foreshadowing. I don't know what she does. But it is a she, and it's a fucked up looking monster thing that people see for like a second and then it disappears.
Yeah.
And it wriggles its way into their mind, and it creates its own presence. It is almost like a tulpa.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
Where
classic
the more
fourth dimension
it reminds me of
monster.
Smile a little bit. I like the movie Smile, and I feel like it's a little bit like that, but it's less like the movie. The movie is time sensitive because it's a movie and it needs to wrap up in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
This does not. This is the written word. We're gonna let this shit draw out for 1,000 pages. It's gonna take us fucking forever to read it, but I think that's the journey. I think the idea is that we're going to start to get little snapshots of what this universe is like. And it's going to be weird, and it's going to be crazy, and there's going to be horrific and interesting things going on. So when I describe Mother Horse Eyes, do you still assume that it's just like an item, a thing?
No, I mean, I've read plenty of books that have talked about, like, interdimensional, like, higher dimension beings, and how that would kind of interact, where, like, you can always look down, but you can never look up, type of thing.
Sure.
And even, like, the fourth dimension, we understand it is time, you know, but we can't manipulate it at all.
Yeah.
And things that can manipulate it know what the fifth dimension is, but they can't manipulate it.
Yeah.
You know, but it exists to them where it doesn't exist to us.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a lot of really cool concepts that can get wrapped into the idea. You could wrap in, like, quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
You could wrap in void space and black holes. You can wrap in so many different, like, dimension N, you know, like, you could go there in a narrative like this. So I think it's going to be interesting to be like, what is the process of this being, and why is it doing what it's doing? I think that is honestly the most interesting question I ask myself when I'm reading, like, Cthulhu, or like Lovecraft, or any sometimes even Stephen King stories, because there are like higher beings in Stephen King stories. Like, if you technically, Pennywise is like a higher being. It's an entity.
Absolutely.
It's a formless entity that takes form in order to exist on our plane, but it is a celestial body. It is a completely different type of organism, and that could be perceived as gods to some. You know, shout out to Welcome to Derry, where basically the Native Americans revered Pennywise as a god, like a chaotic god that haunted the woods. Like, it's that kind of shit where I'm like, yeah, we could be going in a I reference Stephen King's Under the Dome all the time, where it's like that town in fucking, like, Kansas gets, like, the contact lens just dropped on their entire town, and no one can leave and no one can enter, and it's like you just slowly watch everyone turn on each other and start destroying one another, and then when they explain it at the end of the book, you're just like, oh, it was a bunch of, like, kid aliens that were testing out their parents' technology, and we just happened to be the ants under the magnifying glass.
Yep.
How fucked of a narrative is that? Yeah. What if Mother Horse Eyes is nothing but a celestial godhead that thinks we need to be punished?
Yeah.
Like a fucking nun, like a fucking Mother Superior. Like, that's honestly where my mind goes. I start to think, like, if that's my reference for like what stupid kids would do if they found a planet under their boot, I start to think of what would a mother do. There are times where she nurtures. There are times where she spawns. You know, there are times where she resents. You know, there's so many different emotions that a mother goes through in their life that it's just like, man, this could go so many fucking places.
Yeah.
I have no idea what kind of places we're gonna get into. But it excites me greatly because I feel like the last time I felt that way was Left-Right Game. I think when I was reading Left-Right Game with Tenron Otrin, shout out, it's my favorite thing I've ever read on the show. I think what that narrative does is it presents you with a story that has never-ending possibilities. When you take that next left and you enter this new, like, universe, you never know where you're going to end up. And the fact that, like, the story ends doesn't mean that, like, the universe ends. Like, the cool thing about Slender Man is that it could happen, you know, he's a formless being that can exist anywhere, and as long as you're paranoid, you're going to think about him, and when you think about him, you give him power. Like, that's the tulpa. It's like, what if the tulpa was a fucking road?
Yeah.
What if it took parts of your psyche and turned it into reality for as long as that next left needs to take place? That's what Left-Right Game was. We entered the fucking Japanese suicide forest in one chapter. We turned a right at Smallville, Oklahoma in the next chapter. Then we find ourselves in like a dead post-apocalyptic New York City in another chapter. Like it is a insane story, and I loved reading every second of it. And I can't help but be like, well, shit, this is gonna be like that. Because instead of a road, we're gonna be dealing with like an entity.
Yeah, like galaxy blips.
Yeah, like little, like I said, snapshots, just like what happened at this time to this person, what happened to this time to this person. Like, it could be really fucking weird. It could be really fucking unpredictable. And I hope you're into it.
Yeah.
Because when I was thinking about people that I could read this with, you were in, like, the top 3. I analyzed, like, who do I want to have this conversation with the most? Yeah. And who do I want to, like, experience this with? And part of me was like Django Phillips. Sure. Because this would almost become the next Dogscape, and I'm sure he'd hate that. Yeah. And then it was Tenron, but I gave him another choice, and we just finished his series. And he wanted to do something humorous. He wanted to do something funny. Sure. So that's where we went with his series. But I got to you, and I was like, we haven't done a series in a while. Yeah. The last one I can think of is the one where it was like little snapshots of different stories, like each chapter. Yeah. I mean, it gets to Was Demons at a certain point, but no, this was the one where like...
'Cause ABC was the Was Demons, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
ABC was Demons. No, this was Curiosity Killed the Cat. This is the one where it's like, it was an army base with a renegade computer. It was a balloon floating through a hallway. It was a TV show about a fly and a clown. Yeah. It was a guy on a phone stalking someone outside their window. Like, it was a different thing every chapter, but at least it was cool. Mm-hmm. It was all in the same universe, and some chapters informed other chapters, but it was a person who was like traveling the world and getting different stories from different people. Mm-hmm. And he created his own fucking, like, universe. It was interesting. Yeah.
Wasn't it, like, his uncle or something?
It was... there was some frame.
Something with... Yeah.
There was a frame of something. It was, like, files in a computer or files in a folder. It was that type of narrative. Yeah. It was like, I'm a journalist, and I'm looking into files. And, So, I don't know what this is going to be. I think this is just going to be different slices of life, honestly. Yeah. I think the framing device is going to be, I'm this person at this time, and this is what happened to me. I don't know if it's going to get any more experimental than that, and we're going to start reading chapters from different perspectives of, like, beings. I don't know how far it's going to go. I don't know how far it's going to go. Because I think you could go to a lot of fucking places with a narrative device like this, but I also think that if you wanted to tell a tighter story, you tell a tighter story. I think that's the flexibility of reading something like this. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm raring to go.
Yeah.
I feel like the second you started describing it, and I like kind of put it in with like in the same category as The Expanse, I was like, okay, here I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, like the full web type of situation. Not necessarily cyclical, not necessarily random, but
It could
go either way.
It could go either way. It really can.
It could go either way.
And I didn't download this one because it is so many different threads in so many different directions. And I was like,
so
I don't know how I would ever tell this story.
Do we know how long of a span this was written? Like, is it something that's ongoing?
No, it ended.
Okay.
It's like 100 stories, and
Sure.
they only ever told 100 of them. They stopped at 100.
Yeah.
I think.
So how much time was between story 1 and story 100?
Well, I'm definitely going to get there.
Work.
I'm trying to decide what's the best way to pull this up. Probably just on Reddit.
I think this is my first time in not doing it in a word processor.
Yeah, no, I don't try to do it. I try to
Yeah.
I try to get it as offline as I can, but this one goes in so many directions that I was just like, I don't actually think I could click 100 links and download 100 stories.
Yeah.
Mother horse eyes. Yeah, 100 posts, no gaps, 394 pages.
That's not bad.
No, but it's definitely averaging
Yeah.
a bunch of fucking pages per part.
Yeah.
What is 394 divided by
60.
60 pages?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, you said 394?
394.
That's 80.
It's 80.
80 pages.
That's a lot.
It's slightly under, because that would be 3 hours.
Are they double spaced? Okay, there's a lot of spaces. Oh, and the text is huge. The text is huge.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Then it gets back to regular. That might have just been the title.
Yeah.
I am seeing there are 100 posts. I was right for remembering that.
I mean, that makes sense, too, that it's like 400 pages, because each post is about 4 pages.
Yeah, yeah. And it's dated.
Yeah.
It's dated. The first post says 2016.
Okay.
The 100th post also says 2016.
Okay.
No. Wrong. It says something else, but I'm going to keep the secret. Oh, no,
Okay.
there's something... Okay, it's something different. There are 100 plus. There's maybe 100 and... Or is that just a description? No? No, those are different posts. There's more than 100, but it's a different narrative. I think it runs concurrently to the main narrative.
Sure.
But there are 100 posts, and it does say 2016.
And then there's like a new game plus.
Between all of them. And then there's a new game plus, yeah.
Okay.
But I think the new game plus is interstitched.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be seeing... Yeah, new game plus is a good way of thinking about it. Because I think it's not going to be about the main series. I don't think it's going to be about Mother Horse Eyes. I think it's going to be a different perspective or a different information. A different way for information to be told to the reader. Oh, and this is the reason why I wanted to read this now. Apparently for the first time in 6 years, this account is back online.
Okay.
So they might be cooking up
Yeah.
a different narrative. Yeah, shit. There are 30 different narratives.
30 narratives over
30
100
narratives
stories.
over 100 stories.
Okay.
Okay, I found the website that gives the order. It's gonna be, man, it jumps around a lot. Apparently, the first narrative is parts 1 through 12.
Okay.
And it's called the Investigator's Narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But then it switches over to the Black Ops narrative on 13. Then it switches to the CIA on part 14. Then it switches to something called the Imperial Japan. Then it switches to something called the Author. Then it switches to something called the Neo-Nazi.
Okay.
Then it switches to something called the Mother Horse Eyes.
Yeah.
Then it skips to the Iwo Jima. Then it skips to the Dog Dream. And then something called the Video. The Aftermath. The Storytellers. Ben. The SS Officer. The Reinhardt Corporation. The Cat. The Prophetic. The Black Jesus. The Demon Penis Land.
Okay.
The Alleys. The Watcher. Alice. Karen. Zen Zen. The Poetic. The Arthropod. And the Crystal Tower and the Suns. Those are the 30 narratives.
Yeah.
Which one did you like? The Demon Penis Land?
Demon Penis Land is definitely a front runner so far.
Demon Penis Land, yeah. Interesting. I mean, it sounds like it's gonna go a bunch of different fucking places. Alright. Shall we?
Yeah. Rock and roll.
Part 1, it says, a unite, a stage, a coup, a revolution, a bring, a genocide, a new world,
And that's the title of the post?
Posted April 21st of 2016 at approximately 3:29 in the afternoon.
Okay.
The text says, in the MK Ultra experiments, the CIA dosed unwitting subjects with LSD to see how they would react. What has not yet come to light is that MK Ultra was an intra-agency project. The CIA created new departments within the CIA and fed them steady doses of LSD and other psychoactives to see how the departments would diverge and mutate away from normal departments. Whole projects and hierarchies were created, with everybody involved being more or less unwittingly under the influence of LSD. This is how the restraint bed portals and flesh interfaces were first created, i.e., from a heavily psychomutated hierarchy. The entire thing had to be eliminated, but the technology it created has been revolutionary. And that is the first post.
Okay. Okay.
It references two different things that are clickable. Do you know what MK Ultra is? It's Stranger Things.
Yeah, okay, sure.
They were dosing people with LSD,
Yeah.
and then they were doing experiments on them.
Sure.
In Stranger Things, they were giving birth to kids,
Yeah,
and then studying the
doing
kids to see if
experiments
they
on
had
them,
inspired. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea that the government was doing this in the 70s, which is like more or less proven to have been a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and also very fictionalized. If there were experiments, they were very quick,
Sure.
and they very quickly realized that acid is just a mind-altering substance.
Mm-hmm. That's when I went from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3.
Yeah.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, whichever. I don't know.
Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are two things referenced in that chapter that I read. One of them is called restraint bed portals, and the other one is called flesh interfaces. I want to find out what those mean. Something called hygiene beds.
Okay.
Digital interfaces from within the universe of this series. Okay. And then what is the flesh interface? It's just described as a fictional concept.
Okay.
A fictional concept.
So that's
Like the
almost like
Matrix?
that fifth dimension.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what 2 is.
The Strategic Hamlet Program, April 21st, 2016. In Vietnam, the U.S. government tried to pacify the country village by village using Strategic Hamlet Program, basically creating villages where there was no or little Viet Cong influence. They tried more extreme experiments where they completely isolated villages or groups of villages, allowing absolutely nobody to enter or exit for periods of up to 4 years.
Holy shit.
In some villages, people simply starved to death.
Yeah.
In other, more self-sufficient villages, the people managed to scrape by. It was noted that in many of the villages where this technique was tried, Masonic or Millerian movements sprang up. In 16 separate instances, villages were able to independently invert flesh interfaces and non-electrical portals. And it was summarized that these villages were being collectively dosed with LSD for long periods of time, and their intellectual mutations allowed for these advances. The flesh interfaces were eventually destroyed by the North Vietnamese army at a terrible cost in lives.
Is that it?
Yeah.
So that your part also referenced a couple things that I feel like I need to. So flesh interfaces is just a fictional concept, but they haven't described what they are yet.
Yeah, well, that's what we're kind of. I feel like
investigating.
Yeah, if they gave you more of a description of flesh interfaces, it would almost be like a spoiler.
Non-electrical portals.
Yeah.
That's an organic portal.
Yeah, it's a flesh interface.
It's a flesh interface.
Yeah.
It does kind of make me feel Matrixy.
Yeah. I'm almost.
What if you could tap into a different place?
Yeah, I almost feel like it's like Stargate.
LSD makes sense.
But
but like in the mind.
Yeah.
Or in another mind.
Mm-hmm.
In a different way to displace your mind. Maybe you just go somewhere else. This is called the investigator's narrative, so maybe we're along for the ride for the first 12 parts just to see what this person thinks. Okay. Number 3. I do like the historical approach, though, how we're kind of getting different snapshots of different eras and LSD's influence. Nuclear subs in the Falklands. I'm surprised they used nuclear subs in the Falklands, considering the battle's proximity to the undersea incident zone surrounding the so-called Artegus portal. As I understand it, the portal was opened because of experiments taking place in the CIA's Antarctic station in the early 80s, and Falklands quickly became a center for portal research. Being underwater, the portal had an enormous incident zone and segmented whales, and other undersea debris would regularly wash up on islands' shores. They found one whale that had been segmented cleanly in half by the incident zone disturbance, proving a perfect cross-section of the creature. They also found hundreds of the chitinous cruciform creatures, certainly non-terrestrial in origin. Anyway, if a nuclear sub had wandered into the incident zone, it could have been disastrous, but I guess they considered the risk acceptable. So a couple different things mentioned there, something called an Artegus portal. It's just a fictional place. So it's just a place we haven't heard of yet. And then chitinous cruciform. Alien arthropods. Yeah, I mean, they describe them as non-terrestrial in origin. So yeah, arthropods are like
six-legged creatures.
Like crab.
Yeah. Like
crab,
shell on the outside.
Shellfish type creatures, like fossils.
Okay.
Ulmanite, Ulmastar.
Yeah.
And Kabuto and Kabutops are based off of arthropods. That's that species of fossilized creature. So I assume it's alien. It's alien arthropod. Yeah, alien snails. I mean, alien scallops.
Yeah, probably.
Like shelled.
I'm still
shelled
with
tentacles.
snails, yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
It's more tentacles than ooze, though.
I'm almost imagining like a squid hiding in.
Yeah, no,
snail
that's
shell.
probably closer.
Yeah.
All right, number 4.
Harvest populations.
That doesn't sound good.
The Soviets designated large portions of the Ukraine countryside as harvest populations.
Yeah, I bet they did.
Sounds like.
Sounds very current.
Saying, yeah. Basically, their food and water supplies were doused with LSD until they had achieved what the Soviets called integration.
Yeah.
This means that the local populations had independently invented flesh interfaces. The Soviet army would then quarantine the area and try to remove the flesh interfaces for their own use. This was usually without success and with great loss of life.
Yeah.
Many soldiers and scientists were segmented, as often happened in an incident zone. So they ended up with people missing limbs, cut in half, etc. What's interesting is that the people could live for quite some time despite segmentation.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts.
This is what led the Soviets to believe that their missing body parts still existed, albeit in some unknown place. So one of the leading theories of the time was interdimensionality. Quite mistaken.
Huh.
Ooh.
Huh. So just another incident where people tapped into this other power.
But this time, instead of destroying them, they tried to harvest them.
Harvest them, yeah. The harvest population. That makes sense. Pretty nuts. Alright, number 5. The Dubai incidents. April 21. So this is all within
it's all the same day.
It's all within like a day or so of each other. Has it always been April 21?
It has.
Okay. So just a guy posting.
Yeah, he posted like his first part. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and these are like paragraphs, right? Like
yeah.
Like
they're a page.
Yeah, I could write this length in probably like written, edited, and sort of like if I had a storyboard, like 45 minutes, probably less. Once I'm chugging along. I haven't looked at this timestamp, so I don't know if it's the same time or how far in between each timestamp.
The first one from part 1 that I remember reading was like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
This one is 6:30. So
sure.
Dubai probably has the highest rate of free-floating non-interface incidents of any major metropolitan area in the world.
Makes sense.
In one incident, a large group of migrant workers was segmented in an underground facility. Perfect cross-sectional segmentation along the frontal plane. You could see their lungs working, food being digested, blood pumping on the inside of their heart, everything. They lived for almost 5 months in this condition. Absolutely fascinating to see in person. There was also a group of school children who were very slightly segmented, just ends of fingers and bits of the calves and such. Hardly fatal wounds, yet they all died within 2 months. Some showed signs of intellectual mutation. There are no known flesh interfaces in Dubai. However, it is surmised that the architecture is actually based on interface geometry and carries some latent interface-like power. They do got some crazy-looking buildings in Dubai.
Yeah.
Mass segmentations remain one of the most mysterious aspects of the interfaces. They seem to show that the interfaces do indeed concentrate on flesh living up to their name. Pretty fucking heady.
Yeah. It's almost like,
It's being judgmented.
yeah, the teleporter is, like, it sounds like it's just the skin. Like, it's part, like...
It's just cutting people up. I don't get... Hey. I like that title.
Yeah. Elizabeth Bathory. We look at Elizabeth Bathory as an example of pre-LSD enlightenment, i.e., somebody seeming to attempt to build a flesh interface before the intervention of LSD. How can this be explained? Perhaps she ingested some ergot or some naturally occurring psychotropic chemicals, or perhaps her mind was simply attuned to whatever intellectual process need occur to invent a flesh interface. The Book of Revelations has also considered to be a description of a flesh interface, especially the description of New Jerusalem. My problem with this is that it's all speculative. It's like when modern psychologists diagnose historical figures. I'm uncomfortable with this level of speculation. I will always regard the first instance of a flesh interface to have occurred in Treblinka, 1944. The geological disturbances, partial tunnels, so-called interdimensionality, and wealth of clearly segmented bodies leaves no doubt of its existence. The Soviets have documented this. I also said the sodium. The Soviets? Yeah, World War II.
Treblinka.
Didn't it start in 44?
I'm actually really bad with history, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I would have guessed the 30s, honestly.
Yeah, that probably sounds right. Because the Great Depression was 1929.
And it was right after that.
Yeah.
Ergot's a mineral. How is New Jerusalem described in the Book of Revelation? I'm not familiar with New Testament. I know Old Testament pretty well.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look.
I'm the wrong. Most people don't know anything about the Book of Revelations other than that it exists.
Well, I mean, you could read it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
How is...
Yeah, but even reading it
How
is
New
difficult to
Jerusalem
digest.
Described in the Bible. The heavenly city descending from God, symbolizing the ultimate dwelling place of God with humanity. It is described as a radiant cubic city of pure gold and jewels, roughly 1,400 miles high, wide, and long, featuring jasper walls, pearly gates, no temple, as God is the light. River of life, tree of life, perfect dwelling. illumination, gates, dimensions, structures.
So it's where people go after rapture, basically.
Yeah, it's heaven on earth.
Yeah.
For those who deserve it, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Just an interesting way of thinking about it. What did Elizabeth Bathory do other than murder people with an axe?
I don't know the answer to that.
All that I know is she was a serial killer.
Sure.
650 people, mostly young girls and women. From 1609, bodies found in her castle. She was bathing in the blood of virgins. Yeah, I remember her. Elizabeth Bathory is the one who the movie Stay Alive is based off of. The witch who used to bathe in baths of women's blood. So that's a flesh interface, apparently.
Okay.
Trying to bathe in women's blood.
Yeah.
Well, a version of a flesh interface. An interpretation of a flesh interface. What if you tap into, like, different people?
Yeah, I would say it almost seems like
What if that's
you're getting
what a
into,
flesh
like,
interface
DMT.
Yeah.
With, like,
Yeah.
oh, as
The
they
chemical,
die, it
as
releases the
someone's dying.
chemical, and I bathe in that chemical.
Maybe that's a flesh interface.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's like a remote
Mm-hmm.
for the brain.
Well, but I think it's for more than just the brain.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like, yeah.
different dimension.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. 7. A tantalizing theory. It's literally a paragraph. Posted 20 minutes after the last one. Basically, when you look at the stories of Elizabeth Bathory's behavior, it seems like she is trying to build a flesh interface. But it is known that in order to invent a flesh interface, one must be under the influence of LSD for extended periods. As LSD hasn't been invented during her life, it's probably just a coincidence. Still, a tantalizing theory, though. So he just disproved a theory he had in the previous chapter.
Yeah. I have a theory that
This one's good.
People just aren't physically able to consume enough LSD to fully get everything there, and that's why it's going in, like, pieces.
Yeah.
You know?
An incident zone.
Yeah.
An incident zone is described as something going wrong with the process, and it just chops all the bodies up like invisible fucking razor wire.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this chapter's title.
Ooh. Define a flesh interface.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't define a flesh interface.
Fuck.
In terms of purpose or composition or mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
I can only list the various phenomena which are related to them. Chief among them is the creation of an incident zone, wherein objects are spontaneously segmented, i.e. parts of objects simply disappear, yet the objects continue to behave as if the missing parts are still present. Also, you see complex tunnels created in the earth. These have been termed ant farms. In undersea interfaces, you get chitinous.
Chitinous. Those are the cruciforms.
Oh yeah, chitinous cruciform
Those are the
organisms.
alien crabs.
Yeah.
Space snails.
I'm gonna pronounce that different every
I'll correct you.
Yeah.
Chitinous cruciforms.
Chitinous cruciforms. These sub-genre organisms are thought to be the result on evolutionary processes which took place in an environment other than Earth. This is speculation, but in this case, I agree with it. Then there have been giant metallic cylinders, which appear and experience continuous, spontaneous segmentation. These are usually at least 10 meters in diameter and can get much larger, and only occur in very large interfaces, i.e. portals. Beyond this, the phenomena are too various to mention and different for each interface.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting little pieces of it each time.
Yeah, they're like summoning
Yeah.
the beings.
Yeah. It is very much a portal, but it's only accessible in certain ways,
Yeah.
and it usually has like a cataclysmic effect on the things around it.
Mm-hmm.
But you get there somehow. Probably by death, is what it sounds like.
I imagine so.
Mass death and LSD. It's a recipe for a good time.
Yeah.
That was 8, right?
Yes.
So 9 is described as portals. This one is...
We're still on the
like 4 hours
21st, right?
later. We are still on the 21st,
Okay,
but
but it's
now
like-
it's...
Yeah. Like after dinner.
No, it's in the middle of the night.
Oh,
It's,
jeez.
10 p.m.
Okay.
22. It's almost 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Portals. Many people think that a portal is simply a large flesh interface, and this is true. A portal is a large flesh interface, but it is also more than that. A portal is, as the name implies, a way of sending objects between the portal site and wherever the various locations that have been found beyond the portals are located, i.e. the so-called alien sister cities. So that's described as a place beyond the portals.
Okay.
Portals are usually, but not always, accompanied by large, fluctuating metallic cylinders. The largest above-water portal that I know of occurred in Novaya Zemlya and existed for several weeks before it was destroyed by the Russians' so-called Tsar Bomba. In this case, the metallic cylinders were miles high and covered with features rarely seen on other cylinders, blinking lights, nodules, so-called antennae. They took on a very artificial appearance, i.e. they seemed to be constructed technology rather than naturally occurring phenomena. Are the cylinders themselves artifacts being sent through the portals? Or are they phenomena created by the flesh interfaces in a way a mushroom cloud is created by a nuclear explosion? This is unclear. I wish I could show you guys pictures of the Novaya Zemlya cylinders. They truly were beautiful, rising miles into the clear Arctic air like great alien towers, tinged blue by the vastness of the distances involved. Though it was certainly necessary to destroy them, and we owe the Soviets a great debt for their tireless efforts to collapse the interface, I sometimes wish they were still there. At least then, there would be something. Some evidence. Okay, so a flesh interface opens a portal to a different dimension, a different place through space,
Yeah.
and stuff comes through. And at one point, or at multiple points, apparently cylinders of
Just like
metallic
yeah.
alien infrastructure
Mhm.
were forced through time and space and just popped up.
It almost feels like a can. Like maybe it might be like
Yeah.
a storage unit.
If we're cutting into space a certain depth, maybe this is
Yeah.
what's being removed on the other side of
Mm-hmm.
of time and space. You know, maybe we're cutting into someone else's dimension just as much as we're cutting out of ours. Have fun saying this. I said it was the Novaya Zemlya. I'm sure it's not pronounced that way. I'm sure it's Russian. Novaya Zemlya?
Yeah.
Yeah, you say it
Yeah.
however you want to say
Novia
it.
Semla. We are on. Well, I mean, we're on the 22nd, but
We're on
at like
in the early
yeah.
AM. Yeah.
12:12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just barely on the 22nd. And what is this? This is 10? Yeah. I have a feeling the first 12 were all like the same day. And somebody
Yeah.
just like sat down and was like,
It's an investigator who's
yeah,
tapping
like
into
I'm doing it.
this universe, yeah.
In response to what the CIA had accomplished with their Arctic station in Artegas, the Soviets built a larger station in Novaya Zemlya in the Arctic. 30,000 prisoners and an exceptionally pure gas concentration created a flesh interface which went through all 7 stages in less than 13 minutes to become a fully fledged portal. Within a day, The typical fluctuating metal cylinders were visible, and within 3 days, they were extending miles into the sky. The Soviets quickly realized that the portal was growing out of control.
Yeah.
In previous instances, they had simply bombed the site from the air, but in this case, the enormous cylinder and attendant incident zone extending to the edge of space prevented this, as well as missile strikes. There was also an exceptionally large lateral incident zone around the portal, with segmentation occurring miles out from the site. Alarmed by the zone's uncontrolled growth and the growing underground tunnels, aka ant farms, the Soviets worked feverishly to construct a hydrogen bomb of unprecedented power, which could be detonated from outside the incident zone and still collapse the portal. The steady rate of growth in the incident zone provided them with an exact deadline, which they managed to meet with only 2 hours to spare. Any later, and the bomb could not have been placed so as to collapse the interface.
Sorry, yeah.
In short, the world came within 2 hours of being subjected to an uncontrolled flesh interface and perhaps the end of civilization as we know it.
That's wild.
Before the portal was collapsed, however, the Soviets had gained first-hand knowledge of one of the so-called sister cities. In other words, somebody had gone into the portal and come back.
Yeah. Yeah. If this
Okay.
is 100 parts, I imagine we're going to be seeing what that experience is like from different people's perspectives.
Yeah.
This is just an
Like,
investigator describing terms to us right now.
Mhm.
We're probably going to read stories of
People who either
have
were
been
flesh
there.
interfaces,
And that's what I
or
mean
went
by it's
through.
like Lovecraft, because it's like
Yeah.
you read Mountains of Madness, and it's like someone looked through a flesh portal.
Mhm.
Like someone discovered tunnels under the Arctic that aliens had bored using slave aliens, and then they tried to dominate humanity, but the freezing of the polar ice caps stopped them dead in their tracks.
Yeah.
So they fled back to their dimension, but just as the story ends, this dude looks back and sees the dimension open, and it's implied that, like, when he looked into the void fucking looked back.
Yeah.
And that's what I think this story has the ability to do. I think we're going to see different characters who look into the fucking void and then get back. Or
Yeah.
sometimes don't.
Or don't, yeah.
Probably more don'ts.
Yeah.
Because they've described the fucking bisection, killing kids in 2 months, adults in 5. Maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't make it back.
I mean, even if they do make it back, they're...
It's fucked.
Yeah,
LSD,
like-
fucked. Yeah. LSD will ruin your mind.
Yeah.
11. Lisa's Dream. Yeah, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Which, to be fair, this could, it could be West Coast. It could only be 11. What day of the week was this?
April 22nd of 2016?
Yeah, but
No idea.
was it a Saturday?
I don't know. I've always found Lisa's Dream to be a good starting place when trying to understand the psychological effects of quote-unquote travel. Lisa was a 9-year-old girl sent through the Groom Lake interface in 1975. The Groom Lake interface connects to the so-called sister city, technically persistent locus, known as the Hanging Temples. She stayed there for 5 days, normal time, but only 48 seconds of beyond time. A marked discrepancy. Say that again. 5 days is 48 seconds.
Yeah.
She did not recall anything beyond becoming drowsy for a moment. She slept well that night, and in the morning she recounted a dream to the doctors before dying later that day.
Damn.
A direct transcript of the audio from the interview. It was spring, and it had been raining all day. But the rain stopped just before it was going to be sunset. So all the clouds were purpley, and the sky was really orange. And the grass was all wet with rain, and there were fireflies around, like all in the sky, way up in the sky, big ones. And me and my grandma went out to these hills, way out past the edge of town, and under the hills there were people sleeping, not in caves. They were buried under the hills. The people were asleep, but they were hugging each other. Families, like moms and dads and little kids, just packed together, a few thousand. The hills were just blown up like balloons because they were so full of people, like a pregnant woman's stomach. My grandma told me to lie down, but I didn't want to. She laid down and got sucked into the ground. I heard her voice coming out of the ground, telling me to come inside. That's like some Junji Ito level otherworldly fucked. It's like Hellraiser.
Yeah, it almost feels to me like that is a terminal. That, like, it's spitting things out to Earth, right? But it's also spitting things out to other places.
Yeah.
And it moves so quickly that, like, that's why people, like, the segmentation happens. Because they're, like, getting sucked towards it, but also sucked towards something else, but also trying to stay here.
So they're still here without technically all being here.
Yeah.
Parts of them are missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. I think what we just described was when she went to this sister city, she went to a fucked up plane of existence.
Yeah.
Where things do not happen the way they happen here.
Sure.
And it's like Clive Barker's level of fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
She just said there were entire hills made of people.
Yeah.
And that they were all asking her to come down into the hills. Like, that's like a fucked up afterlife.
But it was
that's
too
like
many people.
But it was everyone.
Yeah.
It was people. It
Yeah.
was a mountain full of people. How fucked. Poor little kid. And then she died. What an awful... So that guy thinks that's the best way to describe a flesh interface.
Yeah.
That experience. Lisa's dream is apparently the closest this guy feels to describing
Like
what it means to go through a flesh interface. And this is apparently the last for like 5 parts of the investigator's narrative.
Only a matter of time. Oh, this one's at... it's later on the next day. It's like 2 o'clock the next day.
In the afternoon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It would be easy to say that the Soviets discovered the secret of survivable travel because they were more ruthless and more willing to sacrifice innocent lives.
Yeah.
But there was really no lack of ruthlessness on the part of the CIA. It was really just a matter of approach. The Soviets approached the mystery of the flesh interfaces the same way they approached their space program. The first humans in space, the so-called lost cosmonauts, who were never officially acknowledged, were just ordinary people, called from the gulags, with no more control over their mission than Lycia, the dog.
Leica, yeah.
The Americans, on the other hand, started with professional men, usually from the military. Likewise, when it was discovered that objects and even animals which entered the flesh interfaces occasionally returned unharmed, the Americans began training men to enter the interfaces. Because they culled their men from certain military ranks, they were all of similar ages. The Soviets, however, used prisoners, who had a much wider age range, so they were able to discover the essential correlation. The younger a person was, the more likely they were to survive travel, and the longer they would survive after travel.
Yeah.
They discovered that 20-somethings were much more likely to survive, albeit a horribly altered state, than older people. They discovered that people in their early 20s fared better in these than those in their late 20s. Teenagers fared even better.
9-year-olds fared the best.
So despite all moral compunation, it was really a matter of time before they sent the child through. It was only after the first round of children went through that they gained the idea of what was on the other side. And that's the end of part 1?
That's the end of the first part of the narrative. We don't see him again until 17.
Okay.
But now we move into what is the only story from narrative number 2. Yeah, we go back to the investigator.
Okay.
We go back to the investigator 3 more times before his narrative is done, and the last one is 67.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to him at some point. This is a completely new narrative, but it's the only part in this new narrative. It's called the Black Ops narrative, and I guess I could understand what that is.
Yeah.
They probably sent a fucking team through a portal.
Yeah.
And then it became Doom. That's the plot of Doom. Alright. The Village. Pretty good movie, I'm not sure. Until we found The Village, we had suspected that the detectors were just props. Just toys given to us by the CIA guys to reassure us. Nobody trusted the spooks. 3 days through the jungle, and these detectors had not detected a fucking thing. Oh shit, I didn't read the time.
Oh yeah, what's the date?
Yeah, it's the 23rd.
Okay.
2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody trusted the spooks. 3 days through the jungle, and these detectors had not detected a fucking thing. But before we saw the first hut, the needles on all the detectors started moving in unison. If they were phony toys, it was a cool little special effect. The needles swayed back and forth, and all the little metal boxes let out this spooky ooh sound all in unison, like a school choir. Very weird. We turned them off. As instructed, we treated every Vietnamese as combatants and killed them all. There wasn't any resistance, though. A few had weapons, but most were unarmed. None fought back. They didn't even run. They were just sitting around, lazing in the sun, and we shot them where we found them. Grim work. And very weird. That probably spooked us out more than the detectors. It was like they were waiting to die. After clearing the village, we didn't know what to do, so we turned one of the detectors on and wandered around to see what was up. The detector started going nuts around one of the bigger huts in the middle of the village. We'd already cleared it, but we went in again. There was a big altar inside, with candles and Buddhas and gold signs with dink writing and shit. We figured maybe one of the Buddha statues was setting the detector off, but no. The hut was very hot and muggy. Even by the incredibly humid standards of Vietnam, it was incredibly humid in there. Even the Buddha statues were sweating. Their faces were literally coated with drops of moisture. Everybody noticed that there was something weird going on with the air. There was something off about the pressure. So we just tossed everything, picked all the shit up, and tossed it out of the hut. And sure enough, when we picked up the big platform that held the altar, there was something under it. It was a pit made of flesh, maybe 5 feet across and going down about 20 feet before curving out of sight. And when I say made of flesh, I mean it looked like the inside of somebody's throat. Wet, reddish flesh looking stuff. We'd heard of them building tunnels, but this was we really couldn't even understand what we were looking at. It was breathing. The flesh kind of rippled, and this hot air came out, and it felt and smelled just like somebody breathing right on your face, enough to make you sick. They told us we would know it when we saw it. Well, we saw it, and we knowed it.
Yeah.
We radioed in the coordinates and got the fuck out of there.
So these were like...
That was the Black Ops narrative. That is the only part.
Okay, that makes sense.
Alright, you're gonna read the CIA researchers narrative.
Okay.
Part number 14.
How many parts is this? This is, takes us to 17?
No, it dips around again.
Okay.
It goes to another one for 15. But we come back to this one a lot.
Okay.
The researcher is another hoppy one.
It's a easy way to give context before going somewhere else.
We only know so much.
Yeah. So this is also the 23rd. Encasement was certainly not something we were expecting. It really changed our whole perspective on what exactly was occurring. We thought that the flesh interfaces were like pipes that went from one location to another, perhaps interdimensionally or by some other magic. But when the first subject came back encased, we realized that, well, I'm not sure what we realized. We realized for the 1000th time in our dealings with the flesh interfaces that we were dealing with something really beyond us. That's why I call it magic. They were so far beyond our understanding. It was basically like meddling with some kind of black magic. The first subject to come back encased was an 8-year-old girl we had named Jingles. What? I mean, I guess to protect her identity, but like, Jingles.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. We started using the kids' dogs' names to try and depersonalize them. Yeah, there we go.
They're using kids as experiments, so they don't care what they call them.
To assuage the guilt.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
This was done by the recommendation of the CIA psychiatrists.
Yeah, totally. Jesus Christ.
But it didn't work. but it didn't work very well.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, I hope not.
Sad, so sad. Sad story.
Yeah. We felt like shit, but what choice did we have? Could we just ignore the flesh interfaces and not study them? Perhaps. But then you must realize that the Soviets were also studying them. That changed the whole equation, so it's Oppenheimer.
It is.
Oppenheimer the portal.
It is. That's why the guy kept explaining it like the atom bomb. Like it's a completely different way of thinking. And if we're not going to figure it out, someone fucking else is.
Yeah. If they, well, the ethical issues have been debated to death. What's done is done. We dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. We gave those blankets to the Indians.
There you go.
And we set those kids through those portals.
Jesus Christ.
And now it's all just a part of history. Anyway, we sent Jingles...
Anyway, Jingles is dead. Anyways, Jingles died.
Anyways, we sent Jingles into flesh interface, and an object returned 2 minutes later, which was a pretty long time for an interface. It was a large organic sac lined with veins, vaguely resembling a human lung. About 4 feet long. We x-rayed it, and we saw the skeleton inside and cut it open. Sure enough, Jingles was inside, naked and covered with blood, with no hair on her head. There was an umbilical cord attached to her belly button.
Jesus Christ.
Which was attached to a sort of placenta. We had a problem with the surgeons trying to harm her. It was later realized that her blood, the blood from the sac, had a really high concentration of an exotic LSD analog. It was getting absorbed through the skin. The placenta was like an LSD factory, pumping out millions of doses. This particular blend made people pretty violent.
Yeah.
So we had to put on containment suits. what the fuck is this? Jingle's skin was flawless, like a newborn's.
Yeah, like a fetus.
No wrinkles on the back of her neck, no wrinkles on her palms except the major ones. She had the form of an 8-year-old girl, but it seemed a lot newer. We did MRIs on her bone plates and found that they were still highly undeveloped, as if she was newborn.
Yeah.
We wondered, is this really Jingles or some kind of clone? What sort of apparatus could have possibly produced this clone, and why? After a day of observation, she awoke. We weren't sure if her mind was still there. Perhaps she had been wiped clean. So we waited, asking her questions. At first, her behavior was like that of an infant, just smiling and gurgling and clasping her hands. It was pretty eerie seeing that kind of behavior from an 8-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
Really, it was pretty eerie looking at her at all. Her skin was so pure and glowing. She looked like an absolute angel. Well, anyways. After a while, she started babbling, saying little phrases. In a matter of hours, she seemed to progress through the various stages of development, her sentence structure and awareness becoming more and more sophisticated. As soon as she could understand sentences, we started questioning her again. Who was she? She said her name. She knew her past. She wasn't just a blank clone. This may or may not have been the original girl, but she seemed to have the same mind as the original. So then we asked her questions that we wanted to know. The question that had plagued us for years. The question that had led us, in the face of all humanity and morality, to send a child into a living apparatus of death. What did you see? What's on the other side? Her expression grew thoughtful. She was such a thoughtful, bright girl. We chose her for her intelligence. So young and bright. And we just threw her away. Anyway, she thought about the question, and it seemed that we would finally get an answer, a real answer. I remember that sense of anticipation in the room. It was like nothing I'd ever felt before or since. Remember, I quit that program that day, so I was never able to question another subject. Anyway, she said to us, inside the chamber, I started to feel drowsy. The everything changed, and I knew what I saw. I had seen it before. I said to myself, this is like the room in Grandma's house, the quiet room. We asked her what she meant by this. She replied with these words, her final words, before she simply stopped living.
Jesus.
And sat there dead, with her eyes still on us. She said, "Come unto these yellow sands."
Wow, that again, this is heady.
Yeah.
This is heady as hell. Come to these yellow sands. Who's is Mother Horse Eyes telling her that? Is that where Mother Horse Eyes comes in? That she sends these things back as fucking babies? Is she the higher being that lives on the other side of the flesh portal?
So, because in the other story,
It sounds like it would send anything back as a full baby, though.
yeah, the adults that made it through and came back lasted like 5 months, and the children lasted like 2.
No. Bisected from the event happening.
Yeah.
Not the ones who went through.
No, yeah.
The
The ones
ones-
that like
The ones who were cut.
Cut. Yeah.
From being near the portal when it opened. This is different.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've been
Somebody
told
went in and came out.
someone came out.
Yeah. I think that there's a like obviously kids survive better, but I think that what it's doing is it's trying to copy everything from you and then regurgitate it right? Which is why adults don't last as long, because it's copying more data and they don't survive.
But what
then
if
if they
we're getting
do,
back a copy? What happened to the original?
it's probably still there, or at least its body is.
That's Matrix.
And they have the time is skewed, so that's why she only lasted that couple days, because it's basically reprinting all the data at a different length.
It's days over there and seconds over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, because wasn't it?
Or was it seconds over there?
It was supposed to be
over
seconds over there and days
seconds over there
here.
and days over here. So she was only gone for 2 minutes, they said.
Yeah.
That must have been over
Yeah,
there.
like a blink of an eye.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Doesn't that fill you with dread? The next one is a completely new narrative called the Imperial Japan narrative.
Okay. This is one I'm excited for.
And it's one part.
Oh.
Again, it's like the Black Ops one. It's just a snapshot of someone else across time. It's called How We Lost the War. It's at 7 p.m., 7:12 p.m., April 23rd.
Yeah.
I love that all these conversations are happening, like, all around the world at, like, around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or at least being posted around the same time. Like, it's...
Well, somebody had, like, you have to have some type of storyboard for this.
I mean, yeah, but, like, to what effect?
Yeah.
420, blaze it.
Yeah. It's coming up here.
In explaining our cruelty, which I admit was quite beyond scope of all humanity, I feel I must remind you of how we lost the war. We lost the war in the cruelest way imaginable. Island after island fell, and the enemy drew closer and closer. More and more bombs fell on our cities. Food grew more and more scarce. People starved. House burned, people burned, children burned. We were punished by our own sense of dignity, by our own inability to admit inevitable and total defeat. It was like watching a sword slowly being sunk into your chest, millimeter by millimeter, but you refused to cry out, refused to whimper or beg for mercy, and there is nothing you can do but watch the metal disappear into your weeping flesh. By the end of 1944, it was clear that both Japan and Germany were doomed, barring some divine intervention. Yet the stories we knew from childhood told us that we had been saved by divine intervention before, when the fleets of Kublai Khan were at our shores, moving from island to island, conquering and raping, until a miraculous typhoon sent their ships to the bottom of the ocean. Though we were modern men and trained in Western science, we still believed that there was some sacred destiny in store for the Japanese people, and we kept an eye out for something, anything, which hinted of the divine. Two intriguing pieces of news had come to us via Germany, developments which suggested that perhaps the tide of the war could turn suddenly. Both, however, were ominous. One was that America was developing a superweapon, a bomb which could level entire cities, which used the latent power of the atom, unleashing very forces which held existence together. We assured ourselves that this was American propaganda, that no such weapon actually existed, but our scientists acknowledged that it was theoretically possible. The second piece of news was more puzzling. It was said that a Swiss scientist had synthesized a chemical which, like the American nuclear technology, could unleash latent forces, this time the forces of the mind. This chemical was said to fuse the various disparate areas of the mind and allow for incredible insights. Apparently, teams working under the influence of this chemical for long periods of time were capable of inventing techniques and devices previously unheard of. By the end of 1944, various high-ranking Germans were slipping out of Germany like rats from a sinking ship, often trying to find their escapes by selling various pieces of artwork, technology, intelligence, etc. It was from one of these that we obtained an enormous supply of this wonderful chemical, LSD, which was supposed to be secret even from Germany's allies. Along with the chemical, we were given a piece of news which was positively tantalizing given the position we were in. According to our contact, experiments with LSD had been conducted at the Treblinka extermination camp. A group of prisoners had been given the drug for a period of several months, and the results were so impressive that somehow the prisoners were able to convince the camp leaders to take the drug as well. Soon, the entire camp hierarchy was taking the drug and working together on a new device that was some sort of destructive radar, which could bring down planes as easily as ordinary radar found them. It was said to be powerful enough to slice bombers right in half. Of course, we found this piece of news hard to believe. Nazi death camp commanders working side by side with Jewish prisoners to invent a magical radar? It was utterly fantastical. Our good sense told us to ignore it, and yet, how could we? The Americans had already taken back the Philippines. Soon they would take Iwo Jima, then Okinawa, then all home islands. We were facing the end of the Japanese as a free race. Perhaps the end of all Japanese existence. The Germans would have it easy compared to us. Many Americans were German in origin. There was a bloody affinity between the countries. This did not exist for us. The Americans would burn our cities and rape our women and enslave us, make us servants like their nigoro. We would be crossbred with the whites until we had become some degenerate half-caste. Japanese culture would crumble. The stories of our childhoods would be forgotten. We were watching a sword disappear into our hearts, and we were desperate for some kind of divine intervention. So, in late 1944, a glass jar of LSD crystals, enough for several million doses, was taken aboard a submarine and slipped under the cover of the sea back to the home islands. We were looking for divine grace. What we found was a hell beyond our darkest dreams of destruction.
Yeah. I mean,
It's Hellraiser level
yeah.
shit. They are tapping into the fucking lament configuration, and they're pressing the button, and a god is coming out and saying, "Hey, get in my flesh hole."
Yep.
And then they go
You're mine
through,
now.
and they come out in a different fucking dimension, and it's awful, and they die. And then that's all I've gotten so far.
Yeah.
That's all I've learned. And that Mother Horse Eyes is probably how they're going to end up describing the thing on the other side of the hole. Instead of Hellraiser, or Pinhead, with all the fucking pins and this sadomasochism, BDSM leather thing going on, it's just gonna be a weird looking mom creature.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at. So that was part 15. Where the fuck is part 16? Oh, jeez. It's the neo-Nazi narrative.
Okay. So how many stories does he have?
There's 100 parts.
Yeah, but how many stories does the neo-Nazi have?
2.
Okay.
But it's 16 and 23.
Okay.
So we're not going to come back to it again until later.
Yeah.
It's a great title, though.
Magical space pussy. Yeah.
Demon Penis Land? Wasn't that the one that excited you?
Demon Penis Land.
Yeah. So Magical Space Pussy?
This is on April 24th.
Just jump on into that flesh interface, my dude.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Magical Space Pussy. LSD has make me seen a Magical Space Pussy from time to time.
When you're hanging out with a tribe of Nazi acid heads, Magical Space Pussy doesn't even register on the weirdometer. I mean, they talked about it so much weird shit, and so much of it was total bullshit, that I didn't pay any fucking attention to. It was the 60s. Talking about magical space pussies.
Hell yeah.
Was like asking somebody how their day went. It was just conversation to me. But to them, it wasn't. That was a strange time in my life. I had spent the last 6 months going from commune to commune, just checking them out. They were all bullshit. Every one of them was some guy on a power trip and a bunch of women who had grown up with bad fathers hanging on to his every word, hoping he would solve all their problems. And that's the only way the commune system worked. The guy got control of the women attracted a few guys to do the manual labor, but in the end, it was just a new system of pimping. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn. I've seen pimping.
Yeah, you have.
These chicks had tried to escape society and just gotten themselves pimped out. It was tragic. But too tragic for me to give a shit about it, so I went out to Death Valley. Why did I go there? Why does anybody? Because it had a cool name.
Hell yeah.
If it was called Some Scorpions and a Bunch of Fucking Rocks, which is what it actually is,
Yeah.
nobody would go.
Yeah.
I had decided I was done with counterculture. I was done with the regular culture. I was done with it all. And I would go where nobody would bother me and just trying to figure myself out. Get a little peace and quiet. A month later, the Manson family moved in next door. Okay. They had already committed the murders at this point. It was big news, and I knew who did it. I surely didn't connect it to this band of weirdos next door. They just seemed too stupid to pull off anything newsworthy. Just another bullshit commune. Once Charlie got there, the family seemed to spend most of their driving their dune buggies around, pretending to be the fucking Africa Corps. I mean, Charlie would put on a helmet with a swastika and lead them in maneuvers. I had never met racist Nazi hippies before, but there's a first time for everything.
Yeah.
And some of them even talked about Uncle Adolf and how he knew the score, how he should have won the war.
Oh, jeez.
I was a mechanic in the army, so I helped them out with the buggies and got to know them a little. Slowly, their philosophy trickled down to me. They thought America was on the verge of an apocalyptic race war, blacks on whites, helter-skelter, the Watts riots in every city. That part actually seemed plausible. I mean, you have to understand it. In 1969, the country had been getting weirder and weirder, more and more violent every year. Nobody was quite sure when it would end. Nobody knew what the 70s, the counterculture, would just kind of peter out into a bunch of fucking James Tyler albums. They said that they had come to the desert to find a hideout so they would be safe while the helter-skelter race war was going on. They said that somewhere out there in the desert there was a bottomless pit full of wonders and treasures. In the Bible, Revelation speaks of the tree of life, which bears 12 kinds of fruit, one for every month. They said this tree was growing inside the bottomless pit, it would give them all the food they wanted while they waited out the war. When it was over, they said, they would emerge and Charlie would rule the world as the new Christ. So that part was a little less plausible. Then I started hearing about the magical space vagina. I had become friends with Paul, who was actually a nice guy who just wanted to fuck girls and get stoned and didn't really get the whole Nazi thing. He said that they were searching for the entrance of the bottomless pit. He said that the entrance would be made of flesh, growing out of the rocks, like a giant pussy, so big you could stroll right in. I told him he thought about pussy way too much, but he was serious. He said that the technology to turn rocks into flesh was from outer space, and its secrets had been taught to Charlie by Uncle Adolf. Until then, I had thought that Uncle Adolf was their name for Hitler. Slowly, as I learned more, I started to realize they were talking about somebody who is still alive. Somebody they actually knew. They told me he was coming soon. He's coming!
So someone who probably escaped one of the camps.
Yeah.
Like an actual scientist.
Yeah.
Because they said that... Like,
or an actual Nazi
like
who
an
watched
actual
the
Nazi
scientists.
who was there when the experiments were happening. Because it's like MK Ultra, the fucking the Manhattan Project, Holocaust experimenting on Jewish camps, like kids. Adults.
Absolutely.
Everyone was being
they were going to die either
subjected
way,
to
so
stuff.
let's
cattle to the slaughter. They were they were treated that way. So it's like, is it hard to believe the processes involved of what these stories have been about? No, because a lot of these things are based in truths and then like twisted.
Yeah.
Which makes it easier to go down.
So.
And then I think
you a Nazi sympathizer?
I'm not going to answer that. What I will instead do is
no, we don't support
ask
Nazis
you. I was
here.
too high to understand what you meant earlier. Did you say read 20 parts an episode?
Yeah, because you said...
I just did the math. Yeah. That is probably...
Because at first we were doing it based on pages, but we don't have pages anymore.
We don't have pages anymore, and I thought about that as you were reading. We're going to have to do more than 20 because there's the other narrative too.
Okay. How many is that?
Let me get the actual number on that. Okay,
that's why it's so many pages.
So this is actually the better copy.
Yeah.
And we should probably be following this.
Sure.
Okay, so we missed a star post.
Which was just the Japanese
Just between the Japanese one and the neo-Nazi.
Okay.
Okay, so star post 1 is page what? All right, I'm going to read this instead of reading the part that I missed. The author self-post called Hello Friends. Hello friends. Thank you for your interest in my posts. I want to apologize to the community at large for posting them to threads whose relationship to their content is, at best, tangential. I simply had nowhere else to post my information where anybody else would read it. Previously, I was operating a website wherein my information laid out in a rather straightforward manner. I was quite convinced that the undeniable quote-unquote truth of this information would attract attention on its own accord. I was quite sure that somehow this grand truth would shine out as a beacon and resonate with receptive people and quickly become widespread. As I recall, my best month brought about 400 visitors and a total of non-spam comments. 75% of these recommended psychiatric intervention. So we belong.
Yeah.
So here we find ourselves. I am attempting to use the technique of fiction and suspense to hopefully generate interest in this information. Your subreddit furthers this aim, and I sincerely thank you for creating it. I should clarify that this information is not fiction. It's a fun framing device. Nor is it true. It is a mix of things which happened and things which almost happened. Things which were and things which could have been. You must understand that the present moment in which we exist is simply a nexus from which trillions of possible pasts and possible futures branch out. The important thing to realize is that these unreal pasts and unrealized futures are related to each other. By examining what might have been, we can come to understand what might come to be. I am writing about what has never been and what must never be. Unfortunately, our generation has been given a special burden. We are doomed, as the apocryphal Chinese curse has it, to live in interesting times. Soon, technological advances in the field of information technology and bioengineering will fundamentally reshape human existence. There are a number of possible outcomes, and I believe that most of them will result in the human race entering an unending era of absolute slavery.
So, essentially what we did to ourselves with AI, saying, like, there's a bunch of different ways this could happen, but, like, it's common.
Yeah. As a free species, we have seen totalitarianism before, and we have destroyed it. But when it arises again, aided by advanced information and biological technology, it will have a new and unprecedented ability to envelop the entire Earth and place humanity in an unalterable state of total mental and physical slavery that will last for uncounted millennia until the Earth becomes uninhabitable. Not only do I believe that this outcome is possible, I believe that it is overwhelmingly likely. Out of all of the trillions of possible futures arrayed before us, 99.9999% of them result in this outcome. As Christ said, "Wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But narrow is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." We must find and enter the narrow gate, but it will not be easy. In order to find it, we must sort through the many possible pasts to find the few possible futures which result in a humanity free to live and die as humans and not as an unholy agglomeration of mindless flesh. Unfortunately, as we fight against the forces of slavery and death, it will be precisely our instincts towards the preservation of freedom and the life that will lead us to destruction. In short, we live in precarious times. I want to make clear that while this post shows clear and appalling signs of megalomania, I am actually aware that I am not a prophet or an expert. I am a 30-something American male without the benefit of a college education or a stable job. Sadly, I have spent most of my life drunk.
Fucking love this
My
guy.
posts will contain a number of historical errors, both intentional and unintentional, as well as bad spelling, bad grammar, and laughably overwrought prose. Readers with a proper education will easily see through my attempts erudition. In short, I have no proper formal qualifications for the task I have set out for myself, but I have personally experienced the intellectual mutations of which I write. LSD. Through repeated self-experimentation, I have fractured the time state of my brain, and now it exists in an ever-shifting state between various pasts which didn't happen. As such, I have been given what I believe is special insight into our possible futures. They are dark. The shadows of past atrocities pass and overlap with the shadows of future atrocities. Time is short. Recently, I have been beset with a persistent creativity that seems to grow stronger as the days go by. I fear this state is unsustainable. Perhaps eventually this productive mania will turn into an unproductive psychosis, and soon, on a larger scale, mankind's productivity will turn into its own sort of psychosis. Billions of years ago, the so-called primordial soup arranged itself in a self-replicating form which multiplied and flourished and divaricated into countless species. From our vantage point in the present, this singular moment of origin has become lost in the mists of time. Equally obscure to us is the future singularity towards which we are heading, the end point in which all the countless species are once again reintegrated to a new and singular form, a new abomination. We are on the verge, all of us. Times are dire. We are about to be gathered again into the arms of the mother to become one flesh with her. The mother who gathers lost children. The mother I have seen in dark spaces since I was a little child. Back when I called her the mother with horse eyes. We are about to meet her again. We are about to be unborn.
Okay.
So there is 100% someone looking in and seeing something on the other side that is very much looking back.
Yeah.
Hence the author posting every hour.
Yeah.
It's just, this is what's coming through my head right now. I'm on LSD and this is everything I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I'm a Japanese man. I'm a neo-Nazi in Death Valley. I'm a guy investigating files. I'm the CIA. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. So that was technically part 17. So we should read... I think it said there were like 5 more posts.
Yeah, that was in between Japan and the neo-Nazi.
And the neo-Nazi.
So that was between 15 and 16. We already read 16.
Let me find the table of contents again.
I'll say, I mean, we can just keep it with the same benchmarks of the 20, and wherever the self-posts fall,
they fall?
Yeah.
That's fine. I think that's fair. Another one's coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we're on 17, which was the investigator?
Yeah, we're not going to know. We're not going to know anymore because I'm not on the other website.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or I could use this as the table of contents. And use the other one as the narrative thread. I like knowing what narrative we're about to get into.
Yeah, I agree.
17 is back to the investigator. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah. I think that it makes sense to use...
I appreciate knowing
yeah.
a little bit more to set frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
This one is called...
Euphoria and Terror. This is on the 24th. So he wrote his self-speech and then went to bed and then got up the next day and was ready to go again.
And started writing again. Yeah.
This kind of psychological mirroring was exploited in the design of the flesh interfaces. When the human body is embedded in an interface, the independent, i.e. non-human, interface, glands produce massive amounts of LSD, which cause intellectual mutations, i.e. time fracturing along several dozen axes. Meanwhile, independent hormone regulators produce an emotional oscillation between 2 states, euphoria and terror. Thus, we have the typical sound of an interface, alternating weaves of giggling and screaming that move through the interface population, running along the length of the interface as the hormones travel along the independent conduits. These successive waves of giggling and screaming create a steady rhythm that washes over the traveler as they move through the interface.
Yeah, I bet.
Natural euphoric responses, mirroring, prepare
it's like
the...
Space Mountain was a vagina.
Natural...
I've been on Space Mountain on acid before. And let me tell you, I was like, the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Natural empathetic responses, mirroring, prepare the traveler's body for the process of embrace. And then embrace is in quotes.
Yeah, it's probably referencing mom. Or
Yeah.
the process of being fetalized, maybe.
Yeah. The link just says...
Yeah,
so I think this is it introducing us to embrace.
It's giving us to a new concept, concept called the embrace.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you enter, that's called the embrace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a submersion process.
Yeah.
It's like if we're going underwater, we're embracing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So the investigator is still going hard, trying to paint us a picture of what these terms mean. I want to end with the start because I feel like that's where we're going to get the actual horse eyes shit.
Okay.
Which I'm like...
Yeah.
That's where we find out about Pinhead. We're not just playing with the lament configuration. We're like figuring out what this dude means by like... I've done so much LSD, I've seen something, and I call her mother with the horse eyes.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know. So, 18 is the mother horse eyes narrative. Okay. Lucky me.
Yeah.
Lucky Duck. April 24th, 9 p.m.
Okay.
New Mommy. When I was little, they took Mommy away and put me with a new mommy in a smelly dark house. They said she was a real person, but I knew she wasn't. They made her. Her face was made from pieces of animal. pig cheeks, hairy goat jaw, old horse eyes. They sewed her together badly, and the seams were crusty. I hated her. Real mommy called me from underground. I opened the attic window at sundown and let the spring breeze flow in. I heard her song floating in on the cool air, soft singing from the grave. That's it.
Yeah.
New mommy. Real fun. Oh, you get to read The Embrace. Number 19. Who is describing the Embrace? The CIA researcher who described the portal to us last time is now going to describe what an embrace is.
Yeah. Embrace. Watching the Flessinterface process known as embrace is kind of like watching those Japanese subway groping videos. That was honestly the first thing I thought of when I watched it. But of course, I wasn't going to put that in the official record. You ever seen those videos? Oh, you wouldn't admit it if you had, right? It's your whole genre over there.
It is.
Not the most progressive stuff in terms of gender equality, but compelling nonetheless. The videos start with a woman standing in the subway, minding her own business, and some guy starts feeling her up. She protests demurely and attempts to deflect his roaming hands.
I've seen this movie.
He persists. He persists, all right.
Did I ever tell you I'm going to Japan in a couple months?
Oh yeah. Other men on the subway.
What if I get groped by men on this subway?
You should
What
make
if
a
I'm
video.
dressed as a
Yeah.
Japanese girl and I get groped by a bunch of guys on the subway?
Other men on the subway, perhaps sensing her weakness, join in with the groping.
Yeah, they do.
As a sort of group madness takes over the subway occupants.
I get it now.
The men are transformed from ordinary travelers into an agglomerated?
What?
I don't know what the fuck that word is.
Agglomerated. Yeah, I
Agglomerated.
had to say that earlier too. Agglomerated. I think a gathering
Yeah,
of
like
people
a-
of a particular aggressive mindset.
Agglomerated mass of arms and hands and fingers,
Yeah.
grabbing every part of the woman's body.
Formless.
The woman attempts at protecting her personal space are always absurdly ineffectual.
No.
Oh
No, stop, no.
And soon she is divested of her clothing.
Yeah.
Why is this what they're talking about the embrace?
So it's a metaphor. The process of being taken subconsciously is being like the entrance through the flesh portal is like being groped by the universe.
Oh, they're just okay.
You're
Sure.
about to be submerged in something that is like taking you.
Depending on the video's subgenre, a variety of acts ensue, most of which surely violate local transportation statuses.
Yeah, they do.
Embrace is kind of like that.
There you go.
That combined with a school of piranhas stripping a live cow of its flesh.
Jesus
See,
Christ.
I feel
you
like-
could have just accepted that.
like why didn't we just go to
But why is
the
it called-
piranha with the cows? Why do we
Why
got
is
to
it
talk
called
about the Japanese
embrace
trains?
then? Is he saying that someone like dissolves and then comes out brand new? Is that the whole fetus thing?
I think so. I thought that was like they get. Again, I'm almost thinking of it as they're being put through a copy machine, right?
That's
and they're
how we interpret
squishing.
it, but it's telling us that it's more like a digestive tract.
Yeah, well, you're squishing the top to
Get all the
plop
juice.
out to plop out the thing on the other side.
But then the thing that comes out on the other side is a fetus.
Yep. And what do you have to take to make a fetus? You got to remove everything
You got a mom
so
and
you
you got a
can put it
baby.
back
Yeah.
in.
Okay. Yeah, weird. So he describes the embrace as a Japanese porno where everyone on a train starts molesting the girl.
Yeah,
but
he was really drunk for that post.
He also said it was, well, this is the CIA researcher, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
From the perspective of the author, it's pretty fucked. Yeah, no. Describes it as a school of piranha as well.
Which I think is
Probably
in
more
my
accurate.
head.
It's like being digested.
Yeah,
a
it's
little bit.
more accurate.
You're being molecularly like taken apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like that's easier. What was that, 19?
I think so. Yeah, 19, then 20, then start.
So, the Iwo Jima narrative.
Okay. Which is different than the other Japanese one.
The other Japanese narrative.
Okay.
Because it's probably funneled.
Yeah.
The island. Lying in the hold, listening to the bombardment, there is no sleep. The boom... Get it? No sleep. The booming of the guns travels through the shivering metal of the ship. Hour after hour, without end, the arsenal of democracy rains down on the tiny island. What could it be like for the Japs huddled in their bunkers? Surrounded. Doomed. Do they know they have no hope? Do they expect death? Do they wish for it? Death. The island is death, waiting for them. Ancient, waiting since before they were born. Thousands of young men have crossed vast oceans to come to her, following paths they could have never foreseen. Thousands of young lives will converge on her shores, converge and end. After 3 days of round-the-clock bombardment, a clear and bright morning, whispers through the hold about problems with the shells. Many of them never exploded, disappeared in the air. There have been stories of bombers being cut in half, of bomb crews emerging limbless from their planes. What is on the island? Some kind of new weapon? Something the Japanese have been saving until now? Just talk. The men feel the death out there, waiting on the island. The landing vehicles ride through the waves, and the Marines climb out onto the beaches of ash, of alien surface, crumbling under their boots. There is no fire, no sound, but the motors and the clinking of gear and the sergeants shouting, urging them on. No movement from the interior. Then screams, bloody stumps, men cut in half, but still no fire. How is there no fire? More men screaming, groups of men on the ground, howling, bright red lumps where limbs used to be. How? No sign of the Japs, no fire, no shells. More vehicles land. The beaches become crowded. Screaming nightmare. There is something here, something beyond their understanding, invisible, killing at will. Is it the island itself? A few men manage to advance up the steep beaches and across the rocks, but soon they're cut apart as well. Other men follow and advance further. They've been trained to advance, take the beach, forward, always forward. Slowly, the men find their way further and further into the island's interior. Through horrible trial and error, they begin to understand. They don't speak of their discovery. They don't believe it. But their overwhelming will to go forward and their overwhelming fear of death teach them, and their minds cannot accept. Teach them a lesson about the island. They notice tracks through the ash and rock where there is no grass. These tracks are not foot trails, but deep tracks carved at strange angles, striated like dry streams, places it seemed the ground is simply missing. They realize they must avoid these tracks. If they step onto them or let any part of themselves pass over them, that part will disappear, whether it's their fingers or feet or limbs or even their heads. Sometimes parts of their bodies disappear even when they don't cross the tracks, and they realize that they are unseen tracks in the air, invisible boundaries they must not cross. If they lose a part of their bodies, the blood does not flow, but there is pain. Pain beyond flames, or knives, or bullets. Pain unbearable, unholy, inhuman. There are screams all around them of men who have accidentally run afoul of this invisible power. There is no time to understand this, to reason it out. They simply adapt. moving carefully, holding out blades of wild grass or shirts or gear, probing, waiting for part of the object to disappear, and then stopping and testing for a way forward. Sometimes they find it, sometimes they're forced to turn back. In less than an hour, they have forgotten entirely about the artillery and the snipers and the bayonets. There are no soldiers, only entrances to empty bunkers, abandoned pieces of artillery, some cut in half, but no enemy. They are playing a new game now, taught to them by some unseen teacher, playing it with total concentration, playing and winning. The Marine wounded with their strange unbleeding wounds are taken away. Their screams fade. Orders from command are unchanged. Take the island. So they move forward, up, towards Mount Suribachi. The mountain is shaped like a bowl, a dead volcano. They approach by various paths, each man following another, taking a narrow path of safety. Makeshift markers are set up to show their boundaries. A Marine turns and sees, floating like a butterfly, a severed human arm. It turns and floats away and disappears altogether. Minutes later, a disembodied pair of legs scrambles past. The Marines curse and speculate and even giggle, but keep moving forward. There is no time to understand. They expected to spend weeks taking the island. Now it seems that they could have it in a couple of hours. A shot rings out. The first shot since the confusion of the landing. A Marine is firing at the mountain. Others peer past their binoculars and spy a man sitting on the rim of the mountain. Simply sitting. Alone. Just a vague shape. Snipers are called in, and they fire on him, but the island's air seems to swallow the bullets. The man is untouched. They press forward. The deadly tracks wind around them, growing more numerous. Some of the men find themselves at dead ends. One Marine slips and disappears entirely without so much as a shout. They come to the foot of the mountain. It is small, but rugged and steep, and the lone man sits over them, looking down on them. They hear the sounds now, coming from the other side of the ridge, coming from within the giant bowl of the mountain. Human voices, many of them, thousands. The sounds of laughter, giggling and crackling and howling laughter, like a wonderful party where somebody is telling a hilarious story. The Marines listen to it, dumbfounded. And slowly, the laughter fades, and there's a new sound. A strange, rushing roar that quickly breaks apart into discrete sounds. Screams, shouts, gasps, weeping, terror. The sound rises and rises, and the Marines shudder. This too fades, and the laughter returns. And so these two sounds trade places, over and over, fading in and out above the sounds of the waves. A Marine trains his binoculars on the mountain again. The man is still sitting there. Japanese, wearing a uniform. His head is floating several feet above his body. The body is in several pieces with lines of sunshine between them. His face, sweat dripping over the smooth eyelids, shows no emotion. Slowly, he raises his hand as if to wave them, and his fingers float away from his palm. Shit is trippy.
Yeah, I mean, it brings me back to when they were trying to make the lasers to, like, cut through.
Yeah, weaponize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Alright, we'll finish with the last, a second star post.
The Simple Nemesis. When novelist Philip K. Dick was 42 years old, his fourth wife left him. Lonely and devastated, he opened his home to whoever wanted to stay there. This being San Francisco in 1971, the house quickly became filled with drug users. Dick himself was heavily abusing amphetamines, eating pills by the literal handful, and foregoing sleep for days. The mood in the house quickly became paranoid, and at one point multiple occupants were sleeping with guns under their pillows. The house was broken into, and Dick suspected government involvement. Thinking he had gotten too close to some kind of secret in one of his novels, he moved away shortly after. But his time at the house hadn't been all paranoia and firearms. There were also many good times. Dick was a mesmerizing conversationalist, with an easy command of facts and theories about art, religion, philosophy, and numerous esoteric subjects. He and his new friends, usually kids in their early 20s, would rap for hours and days about everything under the sun. He grew close to many of them. Many of them were runaways, or otherwise clinging to the margins of society. During the break-in, Dick went to rehab and quit speed, but as time went on, many of his friends fell victim to the drugs. In the epilogue to A Scanner Darkly, a fictionalized account of his time, he wrote, "This has been a novel about some people who were punished entirely too much for what they did. They wanted to have a good time, but they were like children playing in the street. They could see one after another of them being killed, run over, maimed, destroyed. But they continued to play anyhow. We really all were very happy for a while, sitting around not toiling, but just bullshitting and playing. But it was for such a terrible brief time, and then the punishment was beyond belief. Even when I could see it, we could not believe it. For a while, I myself was one of these children playing in the street. I was, like them, like the rest of them, trying to play instead of being grown up, and I was punished. We were forced to stop by things dreadful." I don't understand that. In the grip of withdrawal, I had read that epilogue many times, read it and weep. I remember, after a week-long binge, lying in my bed, weeping, nightmares crowding my mind, my hands shaking, the mental suffering unbearable, thinking to myself, should I really be punished like this? What have I done that was so horrible? Was it so wrong to drink? To want to feel comfortable? To want to feel okay? I want to forget about things for a while. Was that so horribly wrong? Such a crime that I should go through this mind-crucifying torment? But it wasn't really a matter of right and wrong. It was simply a matter of cause and effect. My brain had adapted to the inhibitory effects of alcohol, and once the alcohol had been removed, it had entered a state of hyperactivity. The adaptation had become a maladaptation. That was all. There was nothing out there administering the suffering as punishment. My only crime had been knowing that this would happen and drink anyways. I had been a child playing in the street. Dick wrote in his epilogue, "In Greek drama, they were beginning as a society to discover science, which means causal law. Here in this novel, there is nemesis, not fate, because any one of us could have chosen to stop playing in the street. There was no magical fate causing my suffering, just the impersonal cruelty of casual law. That was my only nemesis. Perhaps one day they will invent a substance which prevents the neuroadaptation to alcohol, and we will be able to drink forever, like the Greek god Dionysus.
Love Dionysus.
We will drink and dance and laugh, and there will be no nightmares. We will be made children again. We will play forever on a street where there are no cars. Until then, there will be suffering beyond belief."
Hell yeah.
So I had it explained to me, and we were kind of talking about this after coming down off of an LSD trip, where all you're doing when you take LSD is you're taking all of the happiness from 2 days and putting them into 1 day. And then that second day, you used up all the happiness from that day the day before. So now you are sad.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Like the actual chemicals.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's a mind altering, time altering assumption that you're making there when you say that.
Yeah, you have to have 2 days to do 1 day of acid.
Yeah. And I do concur with that. I think that's a pretty easy way to put that. I think it overestimates or oversimplifies what that could mean, though.
Yeah.
To an effect, because I feel like my experience with acid was like I describe it as a roller coaster you can't get off of. I think there are highs, there are lows, there are a different experience each time, but it's always going to be an unpredictable and kind of deeply esoteric adventure. Whereas I would describe mushrooms pretty similarly, but not as heavy. Not as off the rails.
You're taking hours of happiness and putting it into hours, so it's not as impactful.
I also think it's like a difference. It's a difference of frequency too. Like I think mushrooms takes you to like just simplifying it as a happiness.
Like a happiness mover.
It's not necessarily a happiness mover. I don't think either of these things are just happiness movers. But I do think it's like a chemical mover.
Sure.
Like your dopamine, your inhibitors are kind of flexed or maybe ignored completely and you enter this higher state. And I think that as a narrative device in this story, it's
working well.
It's incredibly interesting because it's hard to study. You can't study that
hundreds of doses,
and like you can't put a village of people on LSD and be like, oh, what did they come up with? Like, no, half of them are gonna like get so high they eat each other, and then the other half, like if we're talking about villages in like the Philippines that have been sanctioned off from other people, like half of them are gonna eat each other, and then the other half are gonna start like making otherworldly art. like that's where you're gonna get two divides, an aggressive side and a non-aggressive side, and the non-aggressive is gonna be creative and otherworldly, but the aggressive side is gonna try and kill another non-threatening side. And therein lies, I think, the flesh interface. I think we get to a place of death and a place of discovery at the same time. And like I said, that reminds me very much, less so now, of H.P. Lovecraft, much more Clive Barker.
Yeah.
I am in a much more Clive Barker kind of mood ever since starting this. Because now I just imagine Mother Horse Eyes as this amalgamation of animal parts that exists as a being on the other side.
Something that's almost too hard to perceive, therefore you can't describe it.
It's described as this because it's the closest thing we can say. It's like when we describe Cthulhu as a squid face on a muscular body with wings. Those are three different creatures, but we're amalgamating it to make an assumption. We need to put our thoughts into words, so we make an assumption. Like, this is definitely, like, Mother Horse Eyes is definitely an assumption. And I think it's a being. I think it's a being. I think we're going to start seeing how much more and more it is a being. To what end, I don't know. I think the problem with MK Ultra as a framing device, as a narrative device, is that I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I think every time we get it in a narrative, any fiction that chooses to use MK Ultra, it's for weaponization.
Yeah.
And as much as I really liked that last story I read, the Iwo Jima story, I think it's putting me in a place of defensiveness. It's putting me in a place of, oh, well, if all we're going to be reading is weaponize this government, that, then, we might as well cut this at part 1 because it's just going to be more of the same shit. But I'm trying not to jump the gun by saying that's only one side of the coin. That's the aggressive side of the coin.
I would say it's an easy place to start because they're the ones that are going to push the boundary, and then once the boundary is pushed, everybody else has access to it.
I want to see what Andy Warhol would do with a flesh interface. Yeah. That's where I'm at, right? I want to see what Van Gogh would think of the flesh interface. That's where I'm at right now. I think the difference between... So, before we started reading, I likened this to left-right game, but cosmic. And I do think I'm still kind of on that frequency, but I also think at the very same time, I'm like, okay, it's not a narrative. It's not a narrative. There is a narrative, but there's not a narrative.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
The narrative is...
the drunk guy writing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The drunk guy writing things is the narrative, but there is no constellation. Like, there are ideas, but it's not going to form a constellation at the end of the story. I don't think that can't be the analogy anymore because there is no narrative. But that being said, it's probably closer to like a ring. You're always moving to a new destination on the same plane.
Trying to get to... Yeah. Trying to circle down into the center.
Most stories are a line.
Yeah.
I was likening it to a shape, to a constellation. Now I think it's just going to be a big circle.
Yeah. Well, and it's...
You can start anywhere, you're going to end up back on the other side. Like...
We started with 20 stories, but 12 of them were the same. So over half of ours were, the investigator.
It's a person condensing information,
Yeah,
that's fair.
I'm interested to see kind of how it develops now that we don't have to do that anymore.
It makes me think of some of the other narrative titles we read, like Demon Penis Land.
Yeah.
But also, it makes me think of the very last one, The Sun. What if Mother had a kid?
Yeah.
And what if it wasn't dead immediately?
Yeah.
Because they all seem to die so fast. Interesting. We're going to see different sides of it. We're going to see different people's interactions with it. Like, there was Ben, Karen. So, there were names.
Yeah.
There were named narratives. So we're going to see We're going to see all different sides. It's going to be taking out different dice and just rolling. It's basically what it's going to turn into.
I will say, obviously the neo-Nazi is the story that, like, it stands out really, really strong.
The magic pussy.
Yeah. And that, I believe, is only 2 parts.
It is only 2 parts.
So the second part of that is going to kind of tell... Because that was, like, 23, yeah. But it's going to tell a lot more about, like, the story as a whole. Because we've seen so many starts... And that'll be the first time we see a finish.
We've had snapshots.
Yeah, but the snapshots have just been one.
Yeah.
We haven't had anything that...
Well, the one I just read is a 2-parter.
Yeah, okay.
Iwo Jima has a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
But I think the Manson family is going to have a beginning and an end. When
does Iwo Jima end?
What number? Next part.
Oh, okay.
When we pick up next episode, we're picking up with the end of Iwo Jima.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. But it's also interesting to see at what points the CIA researcher is going to come back and want to fill things in.
Yep.
At what points the investigator is going to want to, continue investigating.
Yeah, finalize.
There's still, 4 or 5 more points for that. So, more Mother Horse-Eyes parts. That one was just kind of like a fucked up kid's story.
Yeah.
So, who knows? It's a realm of possibility. I don't think I overhyped it. I think it's meeting my hype right now. I hope I didn't overhype it for you.
No. I think that I enjoyed the first 12 a lot.
Honestly, you know what I would compare it to more than Left-Right Game at this point? I would compare it more to the series I read with Django, the search and rescue series, where
Oh, yeah.
it's just a forest.
Yep.
A guy who works at a park research never know what he's going to run into. But the banner is the forest. For this,
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
For this, the banner is the flesh interface.
Mm-hmm.
The LSD.
Yep.
The experience. The incident. So that's where I think we're going to get to interesting stories. I think it's going to be, there's definitely going to be some good sides of it, and there's going to be some less good sides to it. So, yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you have any expectations, where do you want it to go? Because I don't think we're going to get a Was Demons.
No.
Because it's too heady for that.
I'm expecting some type of, like, hazmat suit, we got a camera inside. That's what I'm hoping for. Like...
Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm into that.
So...
Send a probe inside.
Yeah.
That would be the scientific approach.
Mm-hmm. Why are we sending
probe.
kids when we could send a fucking computer?
Maybe they'll explain it away at some point, because that has to be a question.
Yeah.
Technology. Send a wired line.
Yeah.
Just right into the tunnel. Unless it gets frayed.
Sure,
Unless the process means it gets
like anything inorganic.
deconstructed. Yeah, inorganic. We have said not electrical.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it has like an EMP type of.
That's fair.
I don't know. We haven't answered that question yet.
Yeah, there's plenty more questions on their way.
Mm-hmm.
The most important question: where am I?
It's fair. Honestly, no. I would ask that if I was in there.
Yeah.
If I was in the flesh, if I was looking at Mother Horse Eyes,
I would ask. I have no idea where I was.